Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to be doing a pretty simple little review. This is the flying disco ball. Pretty cool little flying disco ball I picked up at my local farm supply store. It's called Rural King. So they actually distribute this. It actually even says it somewhere on the box here, Rural King Distributing. So maybe you saw one of these in the store, and maybe that's why you dropped by the channel looking for reviews on this little guy. Obviously there's a lot of these that exist by different manufacturers and different chains and online vendors. You can get them everywhere, but it's really inexpensive, only $4. So I'm like, why not even, I mean, that's nothing. Let's pick it up and see how well this little guy works. Now, it kind of confused me at first how to fire it up and start it. Now I finally realized, I think just after about 3 seconds, it fires up the motors after you turn it back on. I kept thinking you had to start it like upside down and go upright, and I think it was just a coincidence. I would fire it up and do that really quick, and then it would go, and I think I was causing it to take off. I also did a throwing motion, and it went, and it was just, I was doing it right after I turned it on. I believe it's about 3 seconds, no matter how you hold it, the motors fire up after you turn it on to give you a chance to, to hand launch it. So 3-4 seconds, it seems like, is about how long it goes before the motors fire up and it starts to go. So I don't think there's really any sort of sequence to get this to go, but who knows, maybe I'll turn it on this time and they won't want to start. It did seem like after a crash though, and we'll have to verify this in my test with it the night before, after it crashed, I don't think the motors went, and I was powering off and on, but maybe I didn't wait long enough. Maybe I need to hold it still for a few seconds. So we'll test that here when we fly it. It's certainly going to crash at some point, and we'll see, does it fire back on up if I do this, or hold it still, or do I actually need to power it off and on? It's got an infrared sensor here on the bottom and one on the side as it spins, and that helps it see the walls and the floor or your hands so that it doesn't crash into stuff. It just bounces off the ceiling. So that's how it works. That's why it's really indoors. You take it outside, it's going to want to go up, and it's probably just going to fly away on you. So be mindful of that. There's very little, as the package that comes here, there's nothing in it but a USB, micro USB charging cable. There's no instructions. That's why I'm like, oh, how do I start this thing at first? Because I was being impatient. So, if you're watching this video and you're confused too, as far as I can tell, it just auto powers on, which makes sense. Then it doesn't need a gyro sensor to detect movement to make it go. There's no instruction manual. There's nothing in it. You plug that micro USB cable into the bottom here. The light goes green, and then it turns off when it's done. I don't know the capacity of the little LiPo battery here, but it was pretty quick to charge. It's probably not a very large LiPo battery. And I'm thinking, hopefully this thing probably charges under half an hour. It took less than half an hour for me, but the battery may have been, had a lot of juice in it to begin with, and that will obviously give you a much shorter charge time. So let's go ahead and we'll turn it on. I'm just going to fly it around here in this front room. If it goes out of the room, we'll follow it. I just want to keep it in my head cam. There's going to be a lot of time here, guys, where it's probably going to be below my field of view, and that's out of my control. I could put a tripod up in here, but I mean, this is going to give you the best following of it, but it's just going to go out of field of view at times. But like I said, I can't fly this outdoors. So let's go ahead, we'll power it on. You see the red and blue lights, and it should power up. There it goes, about 3 seconds in. It's pretty good at bouncing off the ceiling. I'm going to back up so you guys can see it. And it's detecting stuff quite good. Now if you got like, I flew it in my basement where I have no real ceiling. It would hit the beams up there, and then it would get caught up between it because it didn't sense them, and then hit stuff and crash. So it crashes a lot more. Now there, it didn't sense the wall on time, because as that ball spins, it has to see the wall, and as it spun, the IR sensor was obviously facing away before it had a chance to detect the wall. That's why this, let me grab it. That's why it spins, because you've got IR sensors, how many times am I going to flip it here? Here on the sides, and it has to turn and see it. So if it comes up really close, and right whenever that moves away and doesn't see it, it's going to smack into the wall. So as you can see, it crashed there, and I'm holding it. It doesn't fire up. So let's see if I go upside down, and if that's the case, there would be a gyro in it, and back up. And nothing. So when it crashes, you're going to have to power it off Power it back on. In 3 seconds it should go off. It should go again. And there it goes. Whoa, it looks like we had a propeller out of whack. Alright guys, it got wedged in there and I was able to pop it out. I think it's okay now. Just this balancing beam wherever it needs to be more loose like this. And it was stuck in there and wedged stiff, so it was oscillating and make it just go straight to the ground. So if it does that, you know, just pop it out. I think it's okay now. So I've crashed this quite a bit. It's the first time that's happened. So it fires up here. Now it's fine. So it just got wedged in there. Again, nothing broke, which is good. It's a $4 toy. If it broke, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it seems pretty hardy. I've hit the walls a bunch of times, and those propellers are pretty rigid. I mean, it's going to have trouble with glass. It's solid glass is not going to work with infrared. You can't reflect off of it. Now you can hand control this, so I'm going to try that, but I'm afraid it may not be able to be picked up in the camera here. I'm going to try to back up here. Let's see if we can raise it up. There we go. You can just have it guide with your hand, and it'll bounce off. See, it's protecting my hand. It's caught in the corner. That's funny. It's trying to raise up, and it's just hitting a corner. I figured it would pop its way out eventually. Let's see if it does. That's funny. Let me get up on the couch here and see if I can pop it out of here. Just grab it. Somehow the IR sensors got confused in the corner there. Oh, it's really wanting to stick to the ceiling now. Let me see if I can grab it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off, restart it, see if it can kind of get going. Because, you know, it kind of will hold altitude a bit and then it goes up and down. And for some reason, it's just wanting to full throttle itself into the ceiling. So let's try that again. I mean, this is a $4 toy, so I don't expect this thing to be great. Just as it's serviceable, and so far it is. All right. See, now it's back to acting normal. So if it gets caught up on the ceiling and can't figure its way out, just, you know, catch it and power it off and on. Powering off and on seems to be something you're going to have to do as you fly. Let this thing fly. After it crashes, it won't start back up. And it cuts the motors after a crash. Here it goes. Whoa! It shut by me. It's cutting the motors after a crash because that's a safety feature to probably not burn out the motor. So, and it's going to crash. But we've not had a bunch of crashes here. So there we go. It does a pretty good job of detecting stuff. Not great. Be mindful it's infrared, so glass is not going to be seen by it. If you were some reason able to do this outdoors, you know, sunlight's going to interfere with it and make it not see anything. The intensity of the sun just overpowers the infrared sensors. Looks like it might be getting low. It's not getting much altitude now, so that's probably getting close to the end of the flight. Well, there we go. It's raising back up now. But it's losing some altitude. I'm thinking the battery may be getting a bit low. Let's see if I can grab it. There we go. So overall, I mean, for $4, if this was $10, I'd probably say, $4 at Rule King. You know, a cool little gift for a 10-year-old or something. If it's younger than that, I would, if you're going to get it for a younger kid, just be sure that they're being safe around their eyes, because I just worry about those propellers hitting the kid in the eyeball. Because a very small child, I got hit in the eye with myself playing with a Matchbox track, and the plastic track cut my eye, and that boy, it burned and hurt. Had to go to the eye doctor as a little kid. So always mindful if something could hit you in the eye. So that's about the only concern I have. But for $4, I can't complain. It's powerful for a $4 toy. It does obstacle blends pretty darn good. Not perfect, because it has to rotate. So if it rotates in the IR, it misses it, you know. And it seems like there's IR here, and I said I think it's on the side, though some of those are just screws here to unassemble it. Those are 4 screws. But I think, you know, it's detecting it somewhere. I don't know. Those may have just been screws I was pointing to earlier. It's hard to see, but it does seem to detect the sides, and of course it does very good at the ground. All right, guys, that wraps up the review here of the Rule King little disco flying ball IR avoidance little toy. Hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. Click the bell so you know when I upload new videos, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.